Welcome back. I'm your host, Susanna May O'Hagan, and today we are going to be talking about Final Destination. It's an American horror franchise that includes 6 films, 10 novels, and 2 comic books. It is based on an unproduced script by Jeffrey Reddick. Okay. Final Destinations was written by Jeffrey Reddick after having read a story about a woman who was on a vacation and her mom called her and said, "Do not take the flight tomorrow. I have a really bad feeling about it." The woman switched flights and the plane she was originally supposed to take crashed. It originally had written the script as an episode of The X-Files. Reddick decided to turn the script into a featured length film at the behest of his new line in cinema. Final Destination features high school student Alec Burrowing, who boarded airline Flight 180 with his classmates for a field trip to Paris. Before taking off, Alex has a premonition that the plane will explode in mid-air, killing everyone on board. When the event from his vision begins to repeat themselves in reality, he panics and a fight breaks out, which leads to several passengers being left behind, including Clear Rivers, yes, Clear, Carter, Billy, Val- Valolene, Terry, and Todd, who witnessed the planes explode moments later. However, their survival caused them to cheat death itself, who has also designed the Flight 180 explosion. As a result, Death creates a new design to kill them, one by one in bizarre accidents. Eventually, Alex, Clear, and Carter travel to Paris to celebrate their survival, but Alex suddenly sees Carter being crushed by a giant neon sign, making them realize that death is not finished with them. There are hardly much. It's a rated R film released on March 17, 2000. 1 hour and 38 minutes horror, mystery, and thriller. Alec is embarking on a trip to Paris. Alec experiences a premonition. He sees the plane explode moments after leaving the ground. Alex insists that everyone get off the plane, and 7 people, including Alec, are forced to disembark, all which as the plane actually exploded in a fireball. Welcome back. He and the others survive. First, have briefly cheated death, but will not be able to endure their fate for very long. One by one, these fragments from fate fall victim to the Grim Reaper. So we got 68% on the popcorn meter, 49% on tomato reader. Let's see what some of the professionals have to say. It's raw, spooky, and less overly pleased with itself. Director James Wong glories in Final Destination. Final Destination set a bar for the first 4 sequels never lived up to. It's smart, cool, fun, and is the reason why so many people in my generation have anxiety. At times, the film jumps from one scene to the other with little regard for telling a storyline. I'm just gonna make it easy. The movie the movie degenerates into a pointless stick film. Return your tray tables to the upright position and fasten your seatbelts for Final Destination, a bumpy, bloody, and mysterious funhouse thrilled ride. We're not going to read all of these because we'll be here forever, but we might read a few more. Great cult horror movie classic, Kickstarter, a great franchise. So I recently got into Final Destination movies after realizing one coming out just this year. I started watching in May and I really love these movies. Every enjoyable, every entertaining, and gory. But I found myself disliking the first one on a whole lot. This movie comes off as rather boring and the whole movie is slow to get you off your seat. While the other movies, you don't expect it and it's more endorsing. I would say is worse, but it was a fan. As the godfather of the generously unspoken death sequence, Final Destination doesn't just entertain, it defines a generation's childhood fear. Its legacy endures as a haunting piece of shared pop culture memory. 10 frightening facts about Final Destination franchise. The first Final Destination movie turns 25 in March. Here are a few things you probably didn't know about a franchise that has made us afraid of pretty much everything. When Final Destination was released in March 2000, it represented a clear new spin on the teen movie horror subgenre. It didn't revive the format that honored had already gone to 1966 Scream, which inspired a string of the late 90s slasher films such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and a critically underappreciated Cherry Falls. But Final Destination found an intertwined way to supply the blood-red meat of the slasher flick gore on screen deaths without what was, until then, a key ingredient, a slasher rather than a human killer. The antagonist in Final Destination film is simply death itself. The concept was both novel and unsettling enough to resonate with audiences, and the franchise is still going strong a quarter of a century later. To celebrate its 25th anniversary, here are 10 things you might not know about the Final Destination. Final Destination started as an X-Film script. I actually knew this one. According to series creator Jeffrey Reddick, the seed of the original Final Destinations were planted during a flight home to his native Kentucky. During the flight, Reddick read an article about a woman whose life was supposedly saved when she switched flights after her mother had a bad feeling about the flight she was originally scheduled to take. I thought that's creepy. What if she was supposed to die on that flight? Reddick said in a 2011 interview with Bloody Disgusting. That struck Reddick, who was then an aspiring screenwriter, as a perfect setup for an X-Files episode, so he wrote it up as Flight 180. In the script, Scully's brother, Charles, has a premonition that a plane he has just boarded is going to explode. After he and a few other passengers deplane, the flight does indeed crash. But when the flight defects begin dying in what appeared to be a freak accident, Scully and Mulder are called in to investigate. I actually never seen X-Files. Let me know in the comments below. Should I watch it? Is it good? I don't know anything about it. But the original 58-page script never made it in front of the X-Files producers in 1994. Okay, this might be why, because I was born in 1994. Reddick was an exclusive assistant at New Line Cinema, which had hit it big 10 years earlier with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, Freddy Krueger. I love Freddy Krueger. His co-workers were suggested the idea would be better served as a feature So Redrick turned his TV script into a movie treatment that New Line finally bought in 1997. The original script was more adult oriented, but Screamed changed everything. In Redrick's original television script, everyone who boarded the plane and cheat stuff only to die violently in the following days is an adult. But by the time New Line bought Redrick's film treatment and aired him to write the screenplay, Scream had dramatically altered the horror movie landscape, reviving the teen horror that had thrived in the 80s. Yeah, like Jason, Freddy, we got Michael Myers. Teenagers who were hot again in horror films. For a 2020 oral history of the Final Destination franchise, New Line wanted to make them all teenagers. Redrick's main character became 18-year-old Alex, later renamed Alex Browning, who would be played by Devin, I want to say Swall, in 2000's Final Destination. Jeffrey Riddick's original script from 2000, Final Destination, was much darker. Well, we will talk more about that later. I hope you all have a great and wonderful day. I don't want to go overboard. Bye for now.